Antonio Bay. What was once a quaint and quiet communal fishing village is now subjected to the horrors of 100-year-old curse that casts a mystical lingering fog over the unknowing townsfolk. A debt must be paid for a heinous crime committed by their great-grandfathers as a ghostly spectre named Blake and his decomposing shipmates rise up from the murky waters of hell to take back their gold and reap revenge on 6 unwilling conspirators. Now, sail away with me on the Elizabeth Dane for a haunting voyage directed by the master of horror himself, John Carpenter. I'm Sin the Djinn, and you are about to cross over into the M Zone. So, once again, as you can tell by the intro, we're going to be talking about John Carpenter's The Fog. Filmed in the spring of 1979, The Fog was scheduled to be released at Christmas that year by Abco Embassy Pictures, but its release date was delayed till February the 1st, 1980. The film was divided by critics upon the release, receiving praise for its visuals and acting, and criticism for its structure and screenplay. Despite mixed reviews, the film grossed $21.3 million domestically.
Okay.
The Fog contains themes of revenge and repressed corrupt historical events resurfacing in the contemporary small-town America. In the years since its original release, it has established a cult following, and a remake was released in 2005. But if you ask me, and my opinion, don't bother with that one.
Not a good sign.
Small coastal town Antonio Bay in Northern California. Old Mr. Machin tells ghost stories to the children by a campfire on the beach.
11:55. Almost midnight. Enough time for one more story.
One story is about a clipper ship that crashed against the rocks nearby, causing all of its crew to drown after mistaking a campfire for a lighthouse while sailing through an unearthly fog. Mr. Machin finishes the story as midnight strikes and paranormal activity begins occurring around the town. The priest of the town, Father Malone, discovers his grandfather's diary when a stone spontaneously falls from the wall in the church, revealing a hidden cavity behind.
Hello?
The journal reveals that a century earlier, on April the 21st, 1880, the 6 founders of Antonio Bay, including Malone's grandfather, deliberately wreck a clipper ship named the Elizabeth Dane, so that its wealthy leprosy-afflicted owner, Blake, would not establish a leper colony nearby.
Our celebration tonight is a travesty. We're honoring murderers.
The conspirators used the gold plundered from the ship to establish the town. Meanwhile, out at sea, a strange glowing fog surrounds a fisherman's trawler. The fog brings with it the Elizabeth Dane, carrying the vengeful ghosts of Blake and his crew, who killed the fisherman.
Who is that?
following morning, local radio DJ Stevie Wayne is given a piece of driftwood by her son Andy, who found it on the beach. It is inscribed with the word Dane. Stevie carries it with her to the lighthouse, where she broadcasts a radio show. As she is listening to the music on a cassette, the driftwood begins seeping water. As the water touches her cassette player, a man's voice is inexplicably heard on the tape, vowing revenge and the words, 6 must die.
A plumbing stone, by God. Damn them all.
Town resident Nick and hitchhiker Elizabeth find the lost fisherman trawler adrift and the corpse of one of the fishermen. Later, while Elizabeth is in an autopsy room, alone, the fisherman corpse briefly comes to life and accosts her before collapsing. Nick and coroner Dr. Fives see the now lifeless corpse has carved the number 3 on the floor with a scalpel. That evening, as the town begins its celebrations, local weatherman Dan is killed by the ghost at the weather station.
Hello? Anybody here? Some asshole got drunk and started taking this 100-year-old business too seriously.
The fog has returned and starts moving inland, disrupting the town's telephone and power lines.
Yellow.
Sheriff Sims?
Using a backup generator, Stevie begs her listeners to go to her house to save her son. The ghost kill her son's babysitter, but Nick and Elizabeth rescue Andy. Stevie Wayne advises her listeners to head towards the town's church, but then finds herself trapped and under siege by the ghosts when the fog surrounds the lighthouse. Seeking refuge inside the church, a group of townsfolk find the large gold cross in the wall, made from the rest of the stolen gold from the Elizabeth Dane. Just as the fog begins to surround the church and the ghosts begin their attack, Malone, knowing that the ghosts have returned to take 6 lives to match the 6 original conspirators, offers the gold and himself to spare the others.
Blake, I have your gold.
The ghost of Blake himself seizes the gold cross, and he and his crew disappear in a blinding flash of light as the fog miraculously vanishes. Stevie, now alone again at the lighthouse, warns her listeners that the fog could come again, and instructs any ships that can hear her to keep an eye out.
To the ships at sea who can hear my voice, look across the water into the darkness. Look for the fog.
After everyone leaves the church, Malone remains inside and wonders why he was spared, given that there were 5 deaths. The fog then reappears along with its ghost Blake and decapitates Malone, making it 6.
Why not 6, Blake? Why not me?
So there you have it. One of the greatest spooky ghost stories ever told by John Carpenter, the master of horror. I'm Sin the Jinn, and you've been watching The M Zone.
No, it's not over yet. We've got one more thing. We forgot the bloopers. Let it roll.
But its release date was postponed and delayed in February because of that. On the eve of the centennial of Morte Compas. You dumb twat, you mean you wasn't fucking recording? Mother. On the eve of the... on the eve of the centennial of the small blab duga. On the eve of the centennial of the small... Stevie carries it with her. Nick and coroner Dr. Fives see the now lifeless corpse as craved the lumber batata. Nick and Dr. Coroner Stevie Wayne, Stevie now alone again in the lighthouse. Now this is really it until the next time. So until then, you all take care and look after each other. Bye for now.